My beloved child. Stop scrolling. Yes, right here, right now. Do not dismiss this moment as coincidence, because what is finding you now was not sent by accident. Something deeper than chance has guided your eyes to these words. Something older than time has arranged this meeting between your spirit and this message. Pause here for a moment. Because what you are about to hear was meant to find you. There is someone connected to your heart. Whether you know their name already or whether they still exist only as a feeling in your spirit, who loves you more deeply than they have ever admitted, even to themselves. And yet, they are struggling. Not with your soul. Not with your heart. Not with your kindness. Not with your destiny. But with one thing they do not know how to talk about. One thing they feel ashamed for even noticing. One thing about your appearance. And before your mind races into fear, before insecurity begins whispering old lies into your ear, hear me carefully. This is not rejection. This is not abandonment. This is not proof that you are not enough. It is something far more human. Far more complicated. And strangely, far more hopeful. Because what they are wrestling with has very little to do with you. And everything to do with what your appearance awakens inside them. Yes. That is the truth they have not known how to face. When they look at you, they feel something powerful. Something destabilizing. Something that pulls them out of the safety of their emotional walls. And they do not know what to do with that. You have noticed it, haven't you? That strange inconsistency. Those moments when they seem irresistibly drawn toward you. Only to suddenly pull back. The way their eyes soften when they think you are not looking. But then become guarded when you notice. The way their energy leans toward you. Then retreats. Warm. Cold. Open. Closed. Present. Distant. And it has confused you. You wondered if you imagined it. You wondered if they were playing games. You wondered if perhaps they simply did not feel enough. But my child, they feel too much. That is the problem. Too much. And what they feel when they see you has become impossible for them to ignore. Because there is something about your appearance, not what the world praises, not what mirrors reveal, not what social standards define. But something uniquely yours. Something unforgettable. That pierces their defenses. It might be your eyes. Not merely their shape or color. But the way they seem to see beyond masks. They cannot hide in front of your eyes. And that terrifies them. Or perhaps it is your smile. Not because it is perfect. But because it disarms them. It reminds them of innocence they thought they lost. It awakens tenderness they buried. And tenderness feels dangerous to people who have survived by becoming hard. Or perhaps it is something even simpler. The way you carry yourself. The way your body tells a story. The way your scars, visible or invisible, have made you beautiful in ways they do not understand. And because they do not understand it, they resist it. Do not mistake resistance for lack of love. Some souls resist precisely what they most need. Listen carefully now. This person has spent years building an internal image of what love was supposed to look like. They created silent rules. Invisible standards. They learned from wounds. From parents. From culture. From pain. From betrayal. From the voices that told them what beauty should be. What desirability should be. What safety should feel like. And then you appeared. And suddenly, their old framework stopped working. Because you do not fit their old blueprint. And yet, you feel like home. Can you imagine how disorienting that is? To spend years believing love should arrive one way, only for it to arrive wearing a completely different face. Your face. That is what they are struggling to accept. Not because your appearance is lacking, but because your appearance is disrupting their illusions. You are not their usual type, but your soul is becoming their deepest craving. That contradiction has shaken them. At first they tried to deny it. They told themselves, it's temporary. It's just curiosity. It will pass. But it did not pass. It grew. Quietly. Relentlessly. Until they began noticing you everywhere. In songs. In dreams. In random thoughts. In empty rooms. In moments when they should have been focused elsewhere. They hear your voice in memory. They replay your expressions. They remember tiny details about you they did not mean to memorize. And this unsettles them. Because they cannot explain it logically. Why should one person have this effect? Why should your presence feel so magnetic? Why does your appearance linger in their mind long after you leave? Why do they keep seeing your face? My child. Because souls recognize what minds resist. And their soul recognized you long before their mind caught up. But there is another layer. A deeper one. And I need you to understand this carefully. The part of your appearance they struggle with is not necessarily what you think. It may even be something you yourself dislike. Something you once wished to change. Something you have criticized in the mirror. Something you believed made you less lovable. That very thing is the thing that unsettles them most. Do you understand why? Because what you judged as flaw, they experience as intimacy. What you call imperfection, they experience as authenticity. What you wanted to hide is what makes you unforgettable. And they do not know how to handle that. They have been taught to desire polished surfaces. But your beauty is deeper. It is lived in. Earned. Soul-shaped. And soul-shaped beauty frightens people who are used to surfaces. It asks more of them. It demands honesty. It invites vulnerability. And vulnerability has always cost them something. So they hesitate. Not because they do not want you, but because wanting you requires them to change. That is what they are resisting. Transformation. Because loving you would mean letting go of old ideas. Old ego. Old preferences. Old emotional armor. And they are not yet sure they are brave enough. But hear this. They are trying. Even if it does not look like it. Even if they seem silent. Even if they appear distant. They are trying. Late at night, they think about you. Much more than you know. They revisit conversations. They replay moments. They analyze every glance. They wonder if you noticed. They wonder if you felt it too. They wonder whether you already know what they cannot say. And sometimes, they become angry with themselves. Not at you. At themselves. Because part of them wants to run toward you. And another part wants to protect itself from what you awaken. That internal battle has exhausted them. There have been nights they stared at the ceiling asking questions they cannot answer. Why her? Why him? Why now? Why does this feel different? Why can't I stop thinking about them? And then comes the hardest question. Why am I afraid of something that feels so beautiful? That question has broken them open more than they realize. Because it has forced them to confront an old wound. A wound hidden so deeply they forgot it existed. A wound tied to shame. To rejection. To appearance. To acceptance. You see, long before they met you, someone taught them that love and appearance were dangerous partners. Someone made them believe beauty could not be trusted. Someone made them feel chosen for superficial reasons. Someone made them compare. Compete. Perform. And now your presence threatens to heal that wound. But healing often feels like danger before it feels like peace. That is where they are. Standing at the edge of healing. Terrified. Because if they let themselves love you fully, they must also let themselves be seen fully. And they are not used to being seen. Not truly. You see them. That is another reason they tremble. You see through the performance. You see the fear behind their confidence. The loneliness behind their charm. The ache behind their humor. The tenderness beneath their defenses. And they know it. They feel exposed with you. Not physically. Spiritually. Emotionally. That level of exposure is terrifying. Yet intoxicating. Which is why they keep returning. Even when they pull away. They return. Even when they deny it. They return. Even when they try to distract themselves with others. They return. Back to your energy. Back to your memory. Back to your face. Back to the strange comfort they only feel with you. Do not underestimate the power of your presence. You have changed something in them. Without trying. Without forcing. Without demanding. Simply by being yourself. And yes, they notice that thing about your appearance. That feature. That difference. That detail. At first it challenged them. But now? Now it haunts them. Not negatively. Lovingly. It has become part of what draws them. Part of what makes you. You. And they are beginning to realize they would miss it if it were gone. That is the irony. The thing they struggled to accept is becoming one of the things they cherish most. But they are not ready to say that yet. Not aloud. Not to you. Not even fully to themselves. They are still in the middle of the shift. Still dismantling old beliefs. Still learning a new language of love. And that process is messy. Messier than you can see. There are moments they almost reach out. Moments they almost confess. Moments they almost tell you, you have no idea what you do to me. But fear interrupts. Always fear. What if you do not feel the same? What if they are too late? What if their hesitation has already cost them you? What if your heart has moved on? That fear has become louder lately. Because they sense change. They sense movement. They feel that time is not standing still. And for the first time, they are realizing they could lose what they never officially had. That possibility has shaken them more than anything. Because until now, distance felt safe. Now distance feels dangerous. Now silence feels expensive. Now hesitation feels unbearable. And something is beginning to crack inside them. A wall. An old wall. One they thought would protect them forever. It is not collapsing all at once. But it is cracking. You can feel it, can't you? Something shifting. An invisible pressure. A subtle spiritual movement. That is not your imagination. Something is happening. Their resistance is weakening. Their defenses are tired. Their soul is growing louder. And their soul keeps saying one thing. Go toward them. Go toward them. Go toward them. But before they can move, one final confrontation must happen. One final fear must be faced. And it is this. They must decide whether they trust what they feel more than what they were taught. This is the battlefield. This is the hidden war. Not between them and you. Between their past and their future. And you, my child, have become the doorway. Which is why this connection feels so intense. You are not merely a person in their life. You are a turning point. A mirror. A threshold. A divine interruption. And divine interruptions rarely feel comfortable at first. They feel disruptive. Confusing. Chaotic. But they are holy. This one is holy. Do not let impatience distort what is unfolding. Do not interpret delay as denial. Timing is doing something here. Timing is teaching. Timing is preparing. Timing is exposing what must be healed before union can hold. Because love without healing collapses. But love after healing transforms everything. And they are approaching that threshold now. Closer than you think. Recently, something happened. A small moment. Perhaps you do not even know it happened. But it changed them. It may have been a photo of you. A memory. A sentence you spoke. A brief encounter. A sudden realization. Whatever it was. It pierced them. And after that moment, they could no longer pretend. They could no longer dismiss what they feel. They could no longer reduce you to a passing emotion. You became real. Too real. And that has forced a decision. A secret decision. One they have not told anyone. Not even themselves in clear words. But their heart has made it. And their heart has begun whispering. I cannot keep resisting this. Do you hear that? That is important. Because once the heart decides, the mind eventually follows. Slowly. Clumsily. fearfully. But it follows. That is where they are now. Trying to catch up to their own heart. And while they do, they are watching you. Not in obsession. In wonder. Watching how you move. How you speak. How you laugh. How you carry pain without becoming bitterness. How your appearance tells the story of survival. How your presence calms rooms without trying. How your face lingers in their spirit. They are falling deeper. Even if they do not yet call it that. But listen closely. Something else is about to happen. Something neither of you fully expects. A moment is approaching. A moment where truth can no longer hide. A moment where what has been unspoken begins to surface. A moment where they may reveal more than intended. Perhaps through words. Perhaps through eyes. Perhaps through action. But it is coming. And when it comes, you must be ready. Not desperate. Not demanding. Ready. Because what they may finally admit will not simply be that they love you. It will be far more vulnerable than that. It will be this. That the very thing about your appearance they once struggled to accept has become the exact thing they now fear losing. And when that realization fully lands, it will undo them. But before that confession can emerge, one final shadow must be confronted. One final memory from their past has risen. A memory tied to humiliation. A memory tied to appearance. A memory tied to being judged. And it is whispering to them right now. Do not trust this. Protect yourself. Stay hidden. That voice is old. But it is loud. And tonight, they are listening to it. Which means the next decision they make changes everything. Will they surrender to fear? Or surrender to love? They are standing in that exact moment now. Right now. As you hear these words. And they do not realize that heaven is watching. That heaven has been guiding. That heaven has been gently arranging encounters, emotions, realizations, delays, and awakenings to bring this hidden truth to the surface. You thought the waiting meant nothing was happening. But so much has been happening. In silence. In secret. In the unseen. And now, the unseen is preparing to become seen. But not yet. Not yet. Because one final revelation remains hidden. A revelation so personal. So startling. That when it reaches you, it will explain everything. Why they looked away. Why they returned. Why they hesitated. Why they could not let go. Why your appearance unsettled them so deeply. It is not what you think. It is bigger than preference. Bigger than attraction. Bigger than physical beauty. It reaches all the way back. To the first time they ever learned what love looked like. And once that truth surfaces, nothing between you will remain the same. That moment is closer than you know. And when it arrives, you will understand why this had to unfold exactly this way. But not yet. Not tonight. Because the next part of this story begins the moment they stop running from what your face awakened in their soul.